Hey there, Erin Lee here of heavenlymessenger.com. This is Connections with Intention. First of all, thank you so much for joining me. It's always a pleasure for me to be able to connect with you in this way, and I'm grateful for the time that you're taking out of your day. We're just going to put up the no comments or no questions. What do you call it? Welcome hellos are definitely welcome, please. But I'm going to hold off on taking people's questions for a couple of minutes just to give everybody an opportunity to hop onto the live stream. So first of all, before I forget, this past Sunday, Bobby Roundtree and I did our first live oracle chats through through our through our joint project, Universal Connections. If you want to check that out, we were live for about an hour and 15 minutes, and we talked about lots of different things. We were taking questions from people about mediumship, spirituality, intuition, angels, energy, and so much more. Next week, we will be back I guess later this week on Sunday, the 6th, we will be back at 3:30 Pacific, which is 6:30 Eastern time. And all of that information is currently on my Facebook page. At the end of tonight's show, I'll be posting that or pinning that to the top of the page. We haven't figured out how to simultaneously stream it to YouTube because we have 3 different channels that we're going to on Facebook. So YouTube guys following, we haven't quite figured it out yet, but we are working on it, and we're hoping that we'll be able to be live on YouTube as well. So please come and join us. We decided for this coming one, we had so many people asking for readings that we're going to alternate back and forth between general questions about mediumship and spirituality and energy, as well as readings. So it should be a lot of fun. That'll be March 6th at 3:30 p.m. Pacific, which is 6:30 p.m. Eastern. So actually, what I'm going to talk about today is one of the questions that I missed when we were going through on the weekend, but that is a really wonderful question. Shelley had asked, what if I have a reading with a really credible channel or reader, and something that they've talked about didn't come true, or it didn't happen the way that they said it would? Like, what's that all about? And I think that's a really awesome question. I'm so incredibly glad that you asked it, and I'm really sorry that we missed it during the live. So what I would say to that is, when we tap into people and we're doing readings for people, it is based on not only like the outcome at the moment, so based on the things that they're doing right now, but it can also be based on the things that we see coming up for them. So for example, if we see something happening, but in order for that to happen, we're also seeing you doing X, Y, and Z, you can't take it and say, oh, okay, well, it's just going to happen, so I'm not going to do X, Y, and Z. So it is really important to make sure that you do those things. Sometimes people will connect with readers just to see what is coming up because they're wanting to navigate around it. And I honestly think that that's one of the best ways to use readings to connect in. So based on where I am right now and what's happening and what I'm doing, what's likely to come up for me? Oh, I really don't want to do that thing. I think that I should do it a different way. And then I think a really good reader will say, cool, if that's not what you want, let's see if there are some tools and some resources for you to navigate this in a different way other than what I'm seeing. So that can also be a really helpful way to navigate what's coming up in terms of messages for you with readings. Awesome. So I thought that we would also do the Choose Your Own Card Adventure this evening. One of the things that is really challenging for me is I like to be able to connect with everybody on the show, but I just don't have enough time. So I want to give the opportunity for you to choose a card for your reading. And actually, I'm going to open it up right now. We'll take this no questions off now. Let me see. How do I do that? There we go. And if you would like to start asking your reading questions for this evening, please feel free to do so. If you want me to use a particular card deck, please mention it with your question. We have the Mermaids and Dolphins, which is the blue deck. We have the green deck, which is the Messages from Your Angels. And we have the yellow deck, which is the Archangel Oracle card deck. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll just bring up our crystals for the evening. So, the way this works is you can think about a question that you have. It can be something really specific if you would like, or we are coming up into the energy of the new moon. So, it could be, are there areas in my life that I need to be aware of for releasing? What do I need to release in those areas? You could choose, pardon me, you could ask several questions and assign each one of them a crystal. So, you could ask a question and you're going to choose ametrine, and then citrine and angelite for another question. So lots of different ways that you can approach this. So think of your question or questions. Take a couple of deep breaths. And we're going to call in your angels and call in your guides and ask them to help and support you in choosing the crystal that best represents the answer that you need to hear this evening. Right? And I'm going to assume that everybody has had a chance to choose their crystal. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to shuffle the cards. We're going to pull one from each of the card decks. So this first card here is actually for the citrine. We have another card, the archangels, that's for Angelite, which seems rather appropriate. Oh, actually, we've pulled out two cards there. And we have the messages from your angels for our ametrine. All right. So I'm going to pull down this. Oops. There you go. And we're going to try the card cam one more time. I'm not 100% sure if it's working really well, but I'd love to hear from you guys. Are you able to see the cards clearly when we put up the card cam? So the first card, I'm going backwards. We're going with citrine first. Oops. That is a bit of a trick, isn't it? All right, you know what? We're not going to bother with the card cam tonight. That makes it really simple and straightforward. So, if you chose citrine, the message for you this evening is morning affirmations. Say positive affirmations each morning to open the gates of manifestation. So, this card is saying, hey, it's really important that you're starting off the day right. Citrine as a crystal is a fabulous cleansing, clearing crystal. When we're focusing on affirmations, we want to be as clear as possible. So this is also an opportunity to say, hey, is there anything that I'm holding on to that is not part of what I'm wanting to create moving forward? Is this, no longer serving me and my best and highest good? And then once you've released that and cleared that, what are you going to put in its place? What are you focusing on moving forward? So we're definitely talking about starting the day on the best foot possible, but also taking time to really focus on what is important, what it is that you're wanting to invite in, and to kind of keep that vision strong. If you chose Angelite, we actually had two cards pop out for you guys. So Angelite was the blue crystal in the middle. The first card that we have is Angel Therapy. As you may have guessed, Angelite is one of the crystals that is it's strongly associated with the angels. Angel is in the name. So it's not surprising that we ended up with the angel cards for this question. So Angel Therapy, this is Archangel Raphael, and he's basically saying you don't need to do it all on your own. Call on your angels, ask them for help and support. Whatever situation you're in right now, if it's feeling big, if it's feeling overwhelming, ask your angels for help and support and moving forward from it. If it's something where you're feeling really good about it and you're wanting to create more of it, ask your angels, say, hey, thank you for helping me to come to this point in this place. Please help me bring out more and see that expanding. We also had the prosperity card with Archangel Uriel coming through. So your material needs are provided as you follow your intuition and manifest your dreams into reality. And this is actually a really great way to kind of loop back around to the initial question or the initial chat at the beginning. What happens or how does it happen that I've had a reading with somebody who's a reputable reader and it hasn't come true? Like, what's happening with that? So this is talking about following your intuition and your dreams. sometimes as we are going along our path, we stop listening to our intuition, even if it's telling us the right thing, because we've come up to a point where we've experienced something in the past and logic has told us that we need to do X, Y, and Z. So intuition is telling us to go this way, logic is telling us to go this way, and we go with logic instead of the other. So this card is really, as I said, bringing that to the forefront, illustrating that it's important to follow the guidance that you're receiving to keep going and not to like veer off to the left away from that. So Angelite, you guys are on the right track. Just make sure that you're continuing to ask for help and support from your angels moving forward. And the last card we have, this is the Citrine card, which was the purple crystal. This is the Chantel card. New romance is imminent, either with a newcomer or through reignited passion in your existing relationship. Be open to giving and receiving love. Now, you might be sitting there and say, hey, Erin, you know what? My love life's really good. I wasn't talking about love life at all. So I'm going to talk to you guys in just a minute. So if your question was about relationship or romance in general, this card is saying, yeah, there is a new opening that's happening either in reigniting something in an existing relationship or helping to usher in a new romantic relationship, partnership, and connection. So keep focusing on what it is that you're wanting to see and create in your love life, because you do have help and support in that moving forward. Now, if you're in the group that says, hey, I don't want to have anything to do with romance right now, or romance is really good, but I have this other thing I'm asking about, this card is also talking about finding, reigniting passion in other areas in your life too. So if we're talking about work and career, this card is saying, where is the passion in your work and career? Is it still with this like career that you're in right now, or are you being drawn into something else? It's really important to make sure that you're following your passion at this point and that new opportunities are becoming available for you. Again, either in your existing situation or in something new, something else that's opening up. But passion is really going to be your compass right now. So pay attention to that. And the last part, I think, is true for all of us, whether you chose the ametrine crystal or not. Be open to giving and receiving love. And, things have been really tough over the last little while. There's so much that is happening on like a local level, on a community level, and on a global level. It can be really easy to shut down. And part of what this card is saying to people who chose ametrine, but to all of us, is that it's really important to be open to giving and receiving love, because that's part of how we're going to get through this. Awesome. So we're just going to pop over and we're just going to say hello to everybody. So April, hello. It's wonderful to see you. Thanks so much for joining us this evening. Harjeet, I was just talking about you earlier today. I'm so glad to see you on tonight. Hello to Catherine and Crystal and Cassandra. I hope you're having a wonderful day too. Hello, Kimberly. Let me see. Kimberly, I kind of think I may have just done a video reading for you. And if it is for you, it will be on its way to you later this evening. JC, hello. It's wonderful to see you. And Valerie, and hello. Brianna, I was just thinking about you today too. Awesome. It's great to see you. And Devaya, hello. I'm so glad that you hopped on because I know that I saw you asking questions on Sunday. I'm glad that we're able to connect tonight. Brienne, hello. It was great to see you on Sunday too. Thanks for joining Bobby and I. Hello, Valerie and Crystal and Josie and Crystal, second Crystal and Tammy. Hi, everybody. Thank you all so much for joining me this evening. Okay, let me see. So we've got Kimberly here. Hi, Kimberly. Thanks for joining us. Kimberly's saying, I would like to know what my next step is in regards to work. Right now, I am a delivery driver for a pizza place, but my life feels stagnant. Okay, and we're talking about direction. Let's see. Where are we going? Yeah, it is feeling really stagnant. And actually, the area that I'm feeling really stagnant is in root, solar plexus, and my sacral chakra. So those are the lower three chakras. And it's not surprising because they have to do with like foundation, stability, but also creativity and sense of self. So I can see this being something that feels like it serves a purpose. It's supporting you on several different levels, but it's not really firing you or getting you going. And I am feeling an opening that's coming up. I do feel you holding on to this for a while. And what I'm going to say to that is it feels like you are either reducing your time there, or it's changing perspective. Pardon me, you're changing your perspective. And so its place in your life shifts and comes into a new place. Sorry, I had a little bug on my glasses. Um, so what I'm seeing is it feels like there's something that you're doing that is outside of your regular work that is starting to bring passion into your life. I have this feeling of settling and grounding, connecting with the energy of the earth, and everything just kind of decompressing and being able to spread out from there. Kimberly, I can't remember if we've talked about a spiritual path for you with your work in your path in the past, but that is coming up for me for you right now, and it's feeling like it's important. It doesn't feel like it's going to be like, I'm not seeing you going from what you're doing right now straight into like doing readings or healing work. It doesn't feel like it's going to happen that way, but I am seeing it starting to segue in. I do have another job that feels like it's coming up. It feels like it's got different hours. It feels like you're able to go in, you're able to do your work, and things kind of carry forward. I I would call this like some form of office work only because of the structure and the schedule that I'm seeing with it. But I'm not seeing you needing to dress in a certain way, and I'm not seeing you necessarily interacting with people as a big part of the work that you're doing. So it doesn't feel like it's your typical office, uh, like a lawyer's office or an accountant's office. It's not like that. It almost feels like it's possibly office for some form of trade, maybe. Because as I said, I'm seeing you being able to wear clothes that aren't any form of either uniform or dressy. And it feels like you're able to go in, you do your thing. There are expectations of what you're doing, but it doesn't feel like it's something where you're really being pigeonholed into it. And I'm seeing you really kind of being able to do it in your own time, in your own way, as long as it's completed within certain parameters. It's kind of interesting. It does feel like this is coming up as an opportunity if you're open to it. And that's another thing, too. It needs to be something that you'd be interested in doing and wanting to shift to. It feels like there is an opening that's coming up kind of the next couple of weeks, possibly into April, possibly into May, but kind of ballpark it the next couple of weeks to the next 3 months. But it is going to be something that you'd need to be open to doing. I do see you continuing with working for the pizza, doing the pizza delivery, but it feels like in some way this is becoming much more part-time. And it's also, there's an opening that's happening where you're starting to focus on your passion. So I'm just asking for a card. I have two popping up for you, Kimberly. We've gone to the blue deck, which is the mermaids and dolphins. The first card we have is simplify your life. Eliminate clutter from your home, work life to balance the flow of activities. So this is saying that there's either something too much that you're holding on to right now. It's time to let it go. Or it's just everything's becoming simple. So you're not bringing stuff home from work, and you're focusing on, okay, so I have this thing. It is challenging to me. It's possibly upsetting to me. What am I going to do to shift it? So it's like you're not holding on to it as much. And the other card that we have here is friendship. Make a date to play for a play day with one or more friends. I am feeling a very strong pull and need to be doing something that is connecting with other people, and possibly also connecting with people who have similar interests to you as well. Kimberly, it's always a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. All right, let's see. Brianna, hello. So let me see. Brianna's saying, I have a question about a boy I met while I was dancing in Victoria. His name is Ron. We have met each other twice now. He's very cute, sweet, kind, and funny. We definitely hit it off at the bar, but he's hard to read. I'm not sure if he's wanting to get to know me more, if he's just wanting to see me around. Okay, so like bumping into each other. He has told me he likes me and wants to get to know me more, but we haven't met up outside of the bars yet. So my question is, do you see this going further into a possible, and then it's kind of cut off. I'm assuming that you said we're saying relationship. Let's take a look. So So the first thing that I'm wanting to say is Ron feels like he's a really good guy. And I do want to encourage you to continue to spend time with him because he feels like he's a good person. But I'm also not wanting to like close off other opportunities just yet. It does feel like things will progress and that there is opportunity to spend more time with Ron and get to know him. But it also feels like it's equally important that you don't start overly investing in him at this point. So continue to be open to meeting other men at the bar or wherever you happen to be, if you're out dancing or out living life, connecting with people. Because at this point, I'm not seeing him being ready or interested in relationship. And the fact that you aren't like chasing him or like kind of fitting yourself in his back pocket feels like that's something that he really appreciates. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if independence is one of the things that he's looking for in a partner. um yeah, I can see what you're saying. There's definitely like a hot and cold vibe going on there. I do want to say this doesn't feel like this has to do with you. Really does feel like it has to do with him. I'm not going to say no to this relationship because, as I said, like he feels like he's a good guy, but I'm kind of wanting to encourage you to keep looking and seeing who else might be available and out there. Um, and that's for two reasons. One, because it feels like there is somebody else who's out there. And two, without going into any sort of game playing, it feels like that would be one of the things that would attract Ron more. So it feels like it serves both purposes. So don't overly invest in him because at this point he's not a sure thing. He keeps like dipping the toe in and pulling it back out and in and out. And I mean, if that doesn't shift, then that's a bit of a warning sign from a relationship perspective. But because you guys aren't in a relationship, that's just him showing you we're good as friends. So, don't read more into who he is than what he is actually doing and showing you. And right now, it feels like he's showing you, I'm interested in you. I wouldn't mind getting to know you better, but I'm not ready to commit to anything. And that's what you have to go with. So continue to be open to somebody else. But do keep spending time with him, but just make sure that you really follow what he is showing you. Okay, let's see what we need to know for Brianna. Oh, you've got two cards coming up too. So the first card, Archangel Uriel, you know what to do. So, I mean, I think this is really self-explanatory. Trust your inner knowledge and act upon it without delay. So there is some part of you that is probably telling you, hey, like at this point, this guy isn't showing me that he's invested. So that's how I'm going to approach things moving forward. You know that already. The next card that we have is the Archangel Jeremiah card, and it's saying all is well. Everything is happening exactly as it's supposed to with hidden blessings you will soon understand. So to me, this feels like this is actually an even bigger indication that there's somebody else who's kind of popping along for you. So continue to connect with Ron, enjoy each other as friends, but don't invest in a relationship with him just yet. Brianna, it's always such a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for popping on. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. Romance angels too. Okay. All right, so we've got Divya here. Hi, Divya. Okay, so Divya's wanting to know if she's going to see her dad soon. I'm very worried about his health. Do you see me moving closer to him and to a different country? Let's take a look. So, when I ask about seeing your dad soon, I'm seeing yes. I'm seeing that things feel like they're already in the works and it feels like that's all coming together. So, either he is in a place where he's able to travel or you're able to travel there. I do see the two of you spending time together. And it feels like this is happening within the next 6 months. It could be sooner. I have August coming up really strongly. We've just come into March. That is in that 6 month time frame. It could be a lot sooner than that, but I do see you seeing him, spending time with him, and it feels like it's a good chunk of time as well. So it's not like you're going and seeing him for a couple of weeks. This feels like this is possibly some form of extended stay and extended time with him. So if that's something that's possible for you with like logistics in your life, I do want to encourage that. Um, I'm asking about health and wellness for him, and he kind of keeps pushing me away. He's like, "No, like don't worry about it. everything's okay. So it feels like he's not wanting to worry you, and he's not letting me see anything more than that. I don't want to alarm you because I don't have this information. But often when that type of message comes up, there is something more that's going on that needs to be addressed and needs to be looked at. So if you are feeling the need to spend time with him, I would encourage you to make sure that you do. And he's showing me that he is quite stubborn and that he has no intentions of going anywhere anytime soon. And when that type of language comes up, it means that that person has no intention of passing away anytime soon. They're really sticking to it. Even if there are things that are going on for them, they're like, no, I'm sticking here. I'm not planning on going anywhere anytime soon. There is a lot of stubbornness and determination that's coming up when I connect with your dad too. And love. There is a lot of love. There's love and support. And he's showing me that he wants nothing more than to have time with you right now. I don't know. This doesn't feel like this is only from a health point of view. This feels like this is from like a love and a loneliness point of view too. So, I know that restrictions have been really different for people in a lot of different places, and there's been a lot of isolation that's happening. And he's showing me that that feels like that's a big part of what he's been experiencing, that he's needing some connection with people that he loves. We're going to go to the Archangel Oracle card deck, and we're just going to ask, what does Divya need to know? No, Divya. I always get that wrong. I'm sorry. What does Divya need to know about spending time with her dad? That's the way that we're going to put it. The card that we have is Spread Your Wings. This is Archangel Ariel, and she says, do not hold back right now. The timing is perfect, and you are ready to soar. So one, I see this as, like imagery of taking off. So it does feel like plane is going to be required for travel for you to get to your dad. So everything is saying, it is time to go to get there as quickly as you can, but more from like a mental health point of view as opposed to like a physical health. And Archangel Ariel has a very strong, powerful, like we can get this done kind of energy. So if you're finding you've got roadblocks in the way, call on Archangel Ariel and say, I want to get to my dad. It is important for me, for him, that I get there to spend time with them. Please help me to make that happen. And notice as things just start falling away. This roadblock falls away. Roadblock falls away. It will become really easy, simple, and straightforward. Divya, it is always such a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support to you. And we're calling on Archangel Raphael, and we're going to ask him to go and to be with your dad as well, that he, with any health concerns that he is dealing with right now, that he has access to the best care and all of the support that he needs to be happy, healthy, and well. Thanks for joining us. All right, so we've got Cassandra here next. Hi, Cassandra. Thanks for joining us. Cassandra's wondering, what do my spirit guides think I should know about my future? Okay, that one's a little bit tricky. Cassandra, I will pop down and I'll look for another question for you. That one's really open-ended. If you want to ask me a specific question about a specific area in your life, I would so love to connect with you. But we need something a little more specific that I can pull into. Okay. Let me see. So we have Brianna here. Hi, Brianna. Thanks for joining us. Brianna is saying, I'm wondering if I can get relationship messages from the angels. Is it time to move on? And you're saying green and citrine. So I'm going to say the green card. Okay. So let's take a look and see what we have coming up. So this is really interesting. When I tap in and I ask the angels about moving on, I feel like I'm picking my foot up to step over into like over the threshold. Sometimes you've got like a door jam or something and you step over it. But it's almost like I'm tripping on the door jamb. It's like, yeah, I'm ready to make that step and to move forward, but something is holding me back and something is actually like pushing me down and preventing me from moving forward. And what that says to me is that there's something more that needs to come out here. It feels like the question that you have, it feels like it's a really valid one based on things are not working as they need to in the relationship to support you staying in the relationship right now. Like I'm getting that loud and clear. And I am feeling the need to make change. But moving out of it completely, there's something that's holding me back. And it feels like this needs to be addressed first. So the sense that I have is you've already gone through and it feels like you've already tried talking, you've already tried doing all sorts of other things and either are being met with resistance or it's just not working. It's just not happening. What I'm seeing is that there's one more thing that needs to be addressed. And that once that is addressed, then you're able to move forward because there's nothing else that is holding you back and holding you there. And it feels like it ends up once this thing is addressed, it's freeing and liberating for both of you. Because right now it's almost like it's weighing you down and like literally pulling you back. But as this thing is addressed and there's a plan moving forward, then it feels like you can both start moving forward. And I am seeing a lot of happiness. I'm almost wondering if this might be a child that's coming up that's needing to be I mean, like not needing to be cared for. I'm seeing them being cared for, but it's that type of thing where there's almost like a joint responsibility that both of you share that is needing to be addressed first. And then once that has been addressed, then you're able to start moving on and start moving forward. I'm just going to ask, what does Brienne need to know about the relationship? The relationship she is in. Oh, we've got 2 cards popping out for you too. It's a 2-card night for everybody, apparently. So the first card that we have here is the victory card. Victory, your desire is coming to fruition. Keep up the good work. This card is Omega. One of the other messages that often comes up with this card is that not only are you moving in the right direction, so I do see that as confirmation of the question that you're asking, but to keep the hope, keep the faith. And I'm also hearing to expect miraculous solutions. So, sometimes moving forward is enough to loosen things up behind you so that things can start shifting. And I start laughing because it's so funny. This is a unicorn card. It's one of the only 2 unicorn cards in this deck. And it actually reminds me of a horse story. So I'll share it with you really quickly because it feels like it's really illustrating the point. So I went horseback riding for the first time when I was 14 years old. I was on this great big huge horse, very, very gentle, but like we're talking 17 hands high. It was a huge horse. And at the end of the 3-hour trail ride, I was so stiff and sore. It was a hot, sweaty day. I don't do well in the heat. And I went to get off of this horse and I leaned forward and there was a saddle horn, a big saddle horn in front of me. And as I leaned forward, the bottom of my shirt got stuck on the saddle horn. So here I am. I'm like 14 years old, hot and sweaty because it was like 35 degrees out. It was so hot. And I'm pressed up against this equally sweaty horse dangling from the bottom of my shirt. And, like it was just me, my sister, her friend, they were younger than me, and our trail guide. And she's like, I don't know how to get you off. I'm like, I don't know either. But I decided, it just made more sense to take off the shirt and, forget whoever was around. Like I just wanted to get off. And loosening at the back was enough to loosen at the top so that I could remove myself from the horse. It's kind of what I'm seeing coming up for you. As soon as you loosen this thing, everything else loosens up and the situation becomes easier, becomes different, and it becomes really clear. And then the last card that we have here is the Rochelle card. As you honor and follow the guidance of your heart, prosperity is coming to you. So, what that says to me is that following your heart, and it feels like your heart is speaking really loudly, really clearly. Other opportunities, other doors are going to start opening up. And this may be in the form, it may not even have to do with relationship and partnership. This could have to do with work and career and money and finances or mental health and well-being. So there is an opening that is coming, that is available, that is happening. But the loosening is part of what needs to happen first. So find that thing that needs to be addressed first, address it, and then take a look. Maybe it changes the circumstances in the situation. It's like, okay, well, now things are better and we don't have to make that change. Or it's like, this has made things really clear and we can both move forward now. Brienne, I'm so glad that you joined us this evening. Thank you so much for popping on. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way, and romance angels too, to help you navigate this next little while. All right. So we've got Valerie here. Hi, Valerie. Thanks for joining us. Valerie says, my grandma just passed away. I'm so sorry. I'm sending lots of love and support to you and to all who loved her. And Valerie says, and her jewelry went missing. We are all heartbroken because it's family heirlooms. We assumed it's being pawned, but we'd like to take a look for it. Okay, let's take a look and see what we have coming up. So yeah, it does feel like I'm seeing a good portion of it being gone. However, it feels, actually what I'm seeing is that it feels like it's gone over different periods of time. So I can't tell exactly who was doing the pawning, but it feels like some went at this time, and then, a while later, more went at this time, and a while later, more went at that time. It does feel like it is worthwhile putting a call out for it. So what I mean by that is potentially connecting with pawn shops to find out if they did have, if it did pass through their hands at any time. But it also feels like it could be worthwhile posting on social media saying, this is the jewelry that we're missing. And if you have pictures of it, that feels like it'd be really helpful. And just, saying that they are family heirlooms and you are interested in getting them back, and are interested in more information about it. It feels like some of it has the potential to come back. It does feel like that is a possibility. It doesn't feel like it's, I don't know if this is one of the fears, but I'm hearing melted down. So it does feel like some of it has been, and I'm really sorry because I'm just gutted at that. But it does feel like there is the opportunity to still get some of it back. And I'm also hearing that there is a very small amount, 10 or 15%, that feels like it has been tucked away somewhere. And I'm really wanting to encourage looking all through closets and potentially like different hiding places. I don't know if your grandmother had been in the same place for quite a while, but this feels like this has been hidden. It almost feels like it's been hidden in, I don't want to say an attic because it's not quite an attic, but it almost reminds me of a closet that might have had an attic hatch. And it feels like it's kind of hidden around, and it feels like it's like in a small little bag. Like with the drawstrings, like a velour or a velvet bag. And it feels like it possibly was just missed. So I am wanting to encourage you to take another look through her possessions just to make sure that something hasn't been lost. But like this looks like it's still in a closet. Let's take a look. We're just going to ask, what does Valerie need to know right now about finding her grandmother's heirlooms? This is interesting. I'm healthy lifestyle. I don't know exactly how healthy lifestyle would specifically connect with the question that we've asked. However, this card is Archangel Raphael's card, and his message is eat a healthful diet, get adequate sleep, and exercise regularly for optimal health. So part of what that's saying to me is when we do all of those things, we're also better able to think clearly. The sleep in particular is feeling like it's coming up as being significant for you and your family. I know with any loss, there's so much emotion that comes up, and sometimes that has an impact on our ability to sleep or to get an adequate sleep. So that is coming up. But also Archangel Raphael helps and supports us in healing, and he's coming through with healing on an emotional level with the grieving that all of you are going through right now. I'm seeing a lot of people having been impacted by your grandmother's passing, and that there are a lot of people who are missing her and loving her. So do know that there is a lot of help and support for you in that. And I'm hearing Archangel Samuel popping up as well. Archangel Samuel helps and supports us in finding things. Often he'll help and support us in finding like jobs or romantic partners, but there's absolutely no reason that he can't also help you finding some of your grandmother's heirlooms. So call on Archangel Samuel. His name is spelt Chamuel. Samuel, kind of like Samuel, but with a CH instead of an S, and ask him for help and support in locating some of your grandmother's heirlooms. Valerie, I'm so glad that you joined us this evening. Thank you so much. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. All right, we've got Crystal here. Hi, Crystal. Thanks for joining us. Let me see. We're looking for relationship advice. What do you need to know about new relationship coming in? Okay, so we're just going to ask, and you wanted the green deck. Okay, so as soon as I start asking about relationship, I'm hearing patience, and everything feels like it's all about patience. And as I say that message, I feel like a really big sigh. I'm feeling a certain amount of disappointment coming through, and it feels like, oh no, not this message again. I'm sorry. That is the message that they're sharing this evening. But I do see an opening, and what I'm being shown is being on a path and a trail, and like there's a very clear path moving forward, but there's also just kind of up slightly in the distance. There's this other like little side path. I'm wanting to encourage you to take the side path. It feels like it's a bit of an adventure. It does feel like you do like reconnect with the big main path. And I'm kind of wondering if this might be, um, like a little bit of a fling. And I hesitate to use that word, but that's what it feels like. It feels like it's a little bit of a diversion. It feels like it's somebody who's kind of interesting. But the sense that I have is that both of you are feeling like this probably isn't something that's long term. I don't know how you feel about that type of relationship. I know that it certainly isn't for everybody, but I am seeing it as being an opportunity and a possibility if you choose. And that's really important here too. Free choice plays so strongly, particularly when it comes to relationships and partnerships, in part because there is more than one person involved. So it's really difficult to say, I'm making this choice for both of us, and that's all there is to it, because that's not how free will works. But I am seeing that there is an opening. And again, it's a little path, it's a little diversion. You leave the main path that's kind of like on the straight and narrow, and it reconnects a little bit later. There's nothing that you really miss, but it seems like it's kind of an interesting diversion. And it feels like as you rejoin the path that you've been on, I'm seeing your step being a little more jaunty, and it's feeling kind of supportive. Let's take a look and see what message we have coming up for you around romance and relationship. And I'm remembering that the card that we got earlier from this deck was the Chantel card, which was all about new beginnings. And you did choose Citrine, which was the card, which was the card that came up with the Chantel message. So pop back and listen to the messages that were coming up with that card, because it is all about new opportunities, either in an existing relationship or a new relationship coming in. The card that we have for you this evening is the Francesca card. What do you desire right now? Visualize it and it will come about. Negativity will block your process, or pardon me, block your progress. So one of the things I love about this card is we have this angel. She's sitting back. She's super duper relaxed. She's not worried. She's not concerned, but she's holding this paintbrush and she is painting the scene in front of her. Like she is literally creating her reality, but she's creating her reality from a place of confidence, from a place of no stress. It's like, yeah, it's going to happen, and I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to create it, and that's all. It's going to be great. So that's part of what I'm seeing for you is this sense of breathing, relaxing, allowing yourself to detour a bit, knowing that you will always come back to the path, and you might learn new things about yourself, or you might find something out that's new, or it just brings a little bit of adventure into life, and it feels like a little bit of fun. And I'm hearing letting your hair down and letting things loose. So enjoy. And Crystal, it's always a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love, and support your way. Awesome. I am aware that I said to there we go. Okay, so I did say to Cassandra that I was going to take a look for her specific question, and I see it here. So Cassandra's wondering about the future regarding laying down roots for a life home, feeling like a gypsy and want more grounding for me and my kids and my hubby. Okay, so when I ask about this, first of all, I'm seeing the need to connect with the land that you're wanting to ground down into and root into. And it doesn't feel like that land is really close by to where you are. So the sense that I have is that you are needing to look further afield to where you've been looking to find that. It feels like your life in about 70 to 85% of how life is being lived, there is an openness where you could relocate to a different area. I do see that there is the potential for a 15 to 30% where like it just doesn't. But it feels like part of finding the space that is going to be your life home is extending where you are looking. The other aspect that I'm seeing is it feels like it's going to happen in steps. So I see the purchase of land coming up for you, and part of what I'm being reminded of is, there are a lot of people here on Vancouver Island, which is where I live. The housing prices are just really crazy, and our vacancy rates are just really crazy as well. It's very difficult to find something. And I know that's true through much of BC, and that's starting to be the case in other parts in Canada as well. But people have started going into more remote areas, and they've started to build community there. So although it is kind of bare at the moment, it is certainly building, and there's more that's coming. And that's kind of part of the message that I have coming up for you, is this sense of looking outside of the area that you're currently in. And it feels like there is a stepping process that's happening. So I am seeing land, and then I'm seeing something that looks like it's temporary or kind of like tiny home-esque. And then I'm seeing more building that's happening on it. But it feels like the land and the property is building with you, and that as you put more into it, there's more space that you have. And I suspect that there's also the opportunity for rental or revenue generation that's happening on the land as well. So I would encourage you to look out a little bit further afield from where you're currently looking, because it feels like in those areas, then there's opportunity and possibility that's happening. It's like you're able to get in. Let's take a look and see what card we have today for you. I just got to block somebody. Okay, let's see. We're gonna go to the Archangel Oracle card deck, and we're just going to ask, what does Cassandra need to know about future and laying down roots for her family? The card that we have here is Spiritual Understanding. This is Archangel Raphael, and he's saying, I am bringing you esoteric information and symbols and helping you understand spiritual truths. It's really interesting because as this is coming up, I'm actually seeing not so much like greater spiritual understanding coming through, but I've got a lot of fairy energy that's coming through, and I'm kind of wanting to encourage you and your kids, if they'd be interested in it, to start creating little fairy homes. And this is something that you can have where you're currently living. If you guys are kind of gypsy-like and nomadic, take them with you. So have them so that they're small enough that you can take them with you. Fairies are incredible manifestors, and they help to create things on the physical realm. So definitely tap into that fairy energy. And part of what I'm seeing with it is like it makes everything easier. So connect with some fairy energy and invite them with you to all of your spaces. And when you do find that space, make sure you create a lot of space for them. Cassandra, it was always a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love, and support your way. Awesome. So we're going to pop back up here. Catherine, we have Catherine up next. Catherine's asking, what do you see for relationships in my life, and how and where can I support finding them? Okay, let's take a look and see what we have. So I have a lot of community messages that are coming up around you. And I don't think this is the first time that I felt this for you, Catherine. It really feels like community is something that's important for you. I don't know if you're familiar with numerology, but I wouldn't be surprised if you were to go through into numerology either around the day that you were born or possibly the year that you're in right now. If your numerology comes out as a 9, because community is just hitting me over the head. So it's not surprising to me that you're asking about relationships and connections. I'm seeing this as relationships in general, as opposed to like a partner romantic relationship, because it feels like if you don't currently have romantic partnership and you're wanting that, it comes about as a result of community that you're in. Part of what I'm seeing feels almost like it's like a living community. Like I'm seeing something that feels like it's possibly communal living of some sort, where there's a large piece of land and there are several people who live on the land. I've got a lot of connection that's coming up around sustainable living. So I wouldn't be surprised if there is at least one or two people on this land living in this way that are interested in farming and gardening and food and self-reliance and sustainability. When I'm asking about how you're connecting with these people, I'm seeing actually that you already have a couple of connections with the outskirts of this community. If this is something that you are interested in, it feels like you're coming into a phase in your life where you're able to start planning and building towards this. April of 2022 is coming up really strongly. I don't think that this is so much a move that you are making towards this at that point. Like I'm not seeing you moving into communal living, but it feels like this is where some really important connections are being made. Um, and literally the imagery that I'm getting, it's kind of like square dancing. I don't know if you have any experience square dancing, but what I'm seeing is four couples and going around in a circle where you like shake hands to move yourself around the circle. And often what will happen is there will be an inner circle and an outer circle with the partner. So sometimes the women will be the outer circle and the men will be shaking hands going in opposite directions on the inner circle. And then you meet up with your partner again. Like that's the imagery that I'm seeing, is of shaking hands and connecting and moving around in a circle. And then the circle just kind of keeps getting bigger and bigger. So that also says to me that part of the community that you're looking for is you're already connected to it, but that the community continues to build. So it's entirely possible that some aspects of your current community are starting to fall off and fall away. But there are key groups and components of it that are becoming stronger, and I'm seeing like golden. So they're coming together, and there's a lot of connection that's happening there, and there is a lot of similarity, and things are starting to build. So community is coming. It feels like part of it is part of how you are choosing or wanting to choose to live in our world. And that feels like that's a big part of where community is coming up and coming through strongly for you. Let's see, we're going to go to the Archangel Oracle card deck, and we're just going to ask, what does Catherine need to know around community and connecting with community? So this is interesting. This card actually came up earlier. We have the Spread Your Wings card, and this is Archangel Ariel, and her messages: do not hold back right now. The timing is perfect, and you are ready to soar. So again, Archangel Ariel, first of all, if you take a look at how she is leaning forward, she's leaning with her heart. Like there is no question in her mind that she is going to be able to lift off and take off and find exactly what it is that she needs, exactly who she needs. There's no fear or concern. Like she's just like, this is what I want, and I'm going for it. And that's part of what I'm seeing you doing as well. I'd actually encourage you to do some affirmation and manifestation around this in the same way that you might, create a list of the things that you're looking for in a partner. You may also want to do that in terms of like the community that you want to connect with, and possibly the types of people that you're hoping to find in community. Part of what I'm hearing for you, and it's coming up really strongly, is people who see the world in a similar way. So not that you're seeing the world in exactly the same way, because that tends to be a pretty difficult thing to do, but where you guys are on the same page or close enough to the same page that you're like, yeah, we can really build something here. That's feeling really important and significant. And I'm seeing that there's a lot that you're creating around that community too. Catherine, it's always a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. Josie, hi. It's always so good to see you. I'm so glad that you hopped on this evening. Let me see. Crystal, did you, if you, okay, well, no, we can do that. What do the next few months look like with work is what Crystal's question is. So first of all, Crystal, thank you so much for joining us. Let's see what we've got coming up for you. So first of all, initially, I'm like wanting to hold everything down and press everything down. Like things are feeling like they're a little bit big and possibly a little bit overwhelming, but I am seeing that coming to a bit of a stop. So it feels like there's something that is inundating me, and it is like overwhelming me. And what I'm hearing is just needing to get through it. It feels like this is something that's happening over the next couple of weeks, but that as we kind of move 3 weeks out, things start to come back into something that's feeling normal. I hesitate to use that word, especially over the last couple of years where normal has been challenged on so many ways. But that's what I'm hearing, is that there is a stability, there's a certainty, and yes, there are some fluctuations that come up around that, but it doesn't feel as in your face as what I'm feeling right now. So work does feel like it's coming into um it's a place that is a little more normal, a little more predictable. It is still feeling busy. So that's one of the things that's popping up, is that work is feeling busy. It feels like there's a lot of demand upon like your time, your energy, and your resources. So I am wanting to encourage you to make sure that you are keeping that in perspective, particularly over the next couple of weeks. So self-care might be something that's particularly important for you right now, and just balancing and maintaining your personal energy levels. So the next couple of weeks, it might not be the time to take on either additional projects at work or additional projects in your personal life, because that does feel like it's kind of overwhelming. But moving forward beyond that, things feel like they come into a new balance and you're able to keep things in perspective. But it's something that you're having to focus on. So work feels like it's busy, but it's something that you can navigate, and that's feeling really positive. Beyond the next kind of 3-4 months, it feels like there could be some changes that are coming up, and that's feeling really positive too. It feels like a sigh of relief. Like okay, now we can really decide either what it is that we want to do, where we're wanting to put our energy and our focus. I wouldn't be surprised if there is a shift in focus that's coming up for you in your work as we move into that kind of that 3 to 4 month phase. So the next couple of months do feel like they're busy, but it's feeling overall like that's heading in a positive direction. Just make sure that you're really aware of your boundaries through it. Okay, so we're going to the blue deck, and we're just going to ask, what does Crystal need to know about work right now? And the card that we have here is, watch your thoughts. It's important to only think about what you desire and not what you fear. So this is an example that I'm just pulling from out of nowhere, but let's say a company is going through like restructuring and reorganizing of the company. And let's say that you have this underlying fear that your job is going to be downsized out. Rather than focusing on, oh my gosh, I hope I'm not downsized, I hope I'm not downsized, focus on the parts of your work that you do really enjoy, and the fact that there will be a new space for you in the new structure, how things are looking. So rather than seeing like the stress and the negativity of what's in front of you, make sure that you're focusing on, okay, so right now is feeling a little bit challenging, but I know on the other side of this that there's going to be a place for me, and that's where my comfort is, and that's part of what helps me to get through from where I am right now to where I'm going. So keep focusing on the things that are working. And this can also be a place where you invite in gratitude as well. What am I grateful for in the work and in the job that I'm doing? What am I grateful for in terms of what my job allows me to do in my free time? Or what am I grateful for that I have chosen to focus on in terms of my personal life that makes work life easier? So focus on the things that are positive, because the more positive that you're able to think, the more that it creates positive opportunities, and the more likely you are to see the positive things that are happening around you rather than the negative things. It's not that there aren't negative things that are happening, because negative things are part of life, but it's easier to see the things that are positive that are happening around you when you're consciously looking for them. Crystal, it was such a pleasure connecting with you this evening. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. And also the life preserver too. When things get a little bit challenging, know that you're not alone and that there is help and support available to you. Okay, let me see. So we've got Caroline here. Hi, Caroline. Thanks for joining us. Caroline is asking about the possibility of selling her house. Let's take a look. Okay, so actually the idea of selling your house is feeling like it's feeling kind of liberating. Like I'm kind of wanting to do a bit of a dance and like a shimmy in my hips, and it's almost like things are kind of breaking off. I'm I was going to say I'm feeling a bit of hesitation in making that change. And there is a hesitation that's there. And it feels like this could be something that you're flip-flopping around, but I'm also seeing that you're leaning more towards yes, as opposed to let's stay a little bit longer. It feels to me like sale will happen very easily whenever you decide to sell. I'm not seeing any challenges around, finding an agent or finding a buyer who's interested in buying. It feels like once you make the choice and the decision to make that change, it feels like everything falls into place. But I am feeling the need to hold on to something, and there is some part of your home that feels like it serves another purpose. And I don't know if this is like studio space or some form of workspace, but it feels like it is like separate from the home itself. And that for some reason is feeling like that might be the more challenging thing to find new space for. So more where I'm seeing is the potential for a bit of challenge in finding the next space that you're going to move into. But what I'm also hearing is the power of manifestation is strong. And that once you start putting your energy into, I'm ready for a new space, it feels like the new space becomes apparent. And I'm also seeing you having that new space before you're in the process of selling your existing space, because the existing space feels like it sells fairly quickly. I would be surprised if it's listed for more than a couple of months, and it feels like it's easy to build that into whatever new space you're going to be moving into. So it's it feels like it's good. I have some hesitation and reservation, but it feels like all of those things are things that you can address and deal with. So in terms of selling, sale feels like it happens very quickly. There are just kind of a couple of other things that are question marks. But as I said, when you're ready, I'm seeing the next space that you move into. It feels like it's there and it's ready for you, and you're just able to take off. We're going to go to the mermaids and dolphins, and I'm just going to ask, what does Caroline need to know about moving into her new space? Okay, and a new dawn. I couldn't have gone through and chosen a better card. The worst is now behind you, and positive new experiences are on the horizon. A new dawn talks about a fresh start, a new beginning. Moving into a new space, moving into a new chapter in life. I don't think that I could have chosen a better card for the question that you've asked out of this deck. Whenever you are ready for that new beginning, the opportunities to move into that new beginning will present themselves, and it'll be a relatively smooth transition. I mean, as smooth as selling a home can be, because there are a certain amount of challenges. It's kind of like saying it will be an uncomplicated labor. Well, I mean, yes, that may be true. It doesn't mean that it's not going to be painful, and like big, but as uncomplicated and as unpain free as a labor can be, that is what I'm seeing for you with home. Caroline, it's always such a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love, and support your way. Awesome. We've come to the end of our time for this evening. I am so incredibly grateful to each and every one of you for spending time with me tonight, for taking time out of your busy day. It is always such a pleasure for me to be able to connect with you in this way, and I truly appreciate it. This coming Sunday at 3:30 Pacific, which is 6:30 Eastern time, Bobby and I will be live again for our Oracle chats through Universal Connections. I will pin that post in on the page. Also, I have openings available this coming Friday, and then I'm going to be taking at least 1 week off as I dedicate additional time and energy into the online school that I'm building. So if you know that you want to connect and you're needing to connect soon, Friday's the day. Otherwise, it will be at least 1 week, possibly two, before I have openings in my calendar again. Sending you big hugs, and you can find that calendar at bookingwitherin.com. Sorry, I forgot to mention that part. I'm sending you big hugs, lots of love, and support your way. Thanks so much for joining me. Stay happy and healthy, and we'll see you next week.